Hey everybody, this is our 2004 HiLo Model 17T. I'm going to take you around and kind of show you some of the things that I've updated on it. We tried to make it a little bit more modern on the inside and, replace out a few things that were kind of tired and needed to be updated. So let's just get started in the kitchen. So the first thing we did, you can see that we put up a backsplash. This is the adhesive backsplash. It really looks nice in the camper. It's lightweight. It was pretty easy to work with. We obviously did quite a bit of painting. We went with the really light gray wall color, and then all of our cabinets we painted in a little bit of a darker gray tone. In the process, we replaced all the hardware, all the handles, all the hinges. I made new doors for all the cabinets. We actually painted inside the cabinets. And on this one, for those of you who are familiar with HiLo's, this is where the sink faucet actually ends up in here when the top goes down. So there's an opening under here. Well, we upgraded our faucet in our sink, so I had to make provision for that. So there's a kind of a box that was built so that the sink would, or the faucet would have a place to go when the camper went up. We still need to paint in there, but that gives us plenty of room for a nice big kitchen faucet. The other thing we did is we replaced the blinds. These are the blackout style blinds. We went the dark gray. I think they look pretty sharp in here. So let's talk about the kitchen sink. It's the deepest and biggest stainless steel sink that we could get in the opening we had available with the cabinetry. It's a Ruvati brand. So as a result, I had to create a new countertop. So this is a new countertop, and then all of the countertops are done with Formica 180FX countertop material. We replaced the cooktop. It had, I believe it was a 4-burner or 3-burner before, but it was pretty worn out and tired. So we put a new Dometic. It has a higher capacity, but it's only 2 burners. We like that the top was nice and flat, so you had good extra counter space. So the other thing in the kitchen, obviously you can see the sink takes up quite a bit of room. I had to take a shelf out down there. And when I put the faucet in, I put shut-off valves on the connections so I could work on the sink if I needed to. I also built a new, all the cabinet doors are new. And again, for those of you who are familiar with the HiLo 17T, what is usually in that spot is a big, just open cabinet door. And then at the bottom is like a kind of fold down shoe garage, which is pretty typical. Well, I replaced that with drawers. So when we started the camper, there was exactly 1 drawer in here. And it was right over here by the refrigerator, this top drawer. Now there are, I want to say maybe 13 drawers in here. We know that's probably going to add a little bit of weight to the camper, so we're going to have to keep an eye on how much we load in it when it's time to go on a trip, but the convenience I think is going to be worth it. So all the drawers are on heavy duty slides, ball bearing slides. I used birch plywood for the drawers, and then I kind of went crazy and I actually put maple edge banding on the tops of the drawers just to make them a little nicer looking. So we should have plenty of room for our kitchen utensils, our pots and pans. I made them as big as I could fit in the cabinet space. So again, those should give us a lot of room. And then we are going to use this bottom drawer as the shoe garage, but it's going to be in a drawer rather than just a flip up door. So that's pretty much the kitchen. We really like the sink that, you know, the faucet is removable. It's got a nice spray on it. That's a pretty nice upgrade over what was there before. The other thing, while we're in the kitchen, I replaced out the fan that was up here. This is a fantastic fan. We had one of these in our prior camper and really liked how well it worked. But it was actually a pretty easy job. You know, the hole was already cut. The wiring was already there, so it was pretty simple. But that's a great little fan. So let's move on to the bathroom. So there was quite a bit of stuff I did in here. You know, first thing, the door obviously is different. I replaced that. And I put a kind of latch mechanism on there just to make it a little bit more firm. So that seems to work pretty well. And then the basin, the shower basin and the toilet were actually in pretty good condition. They were just a little dirty, so they got cleaned up. And I re-caulked around the shower basin. The other thing is the vanity. So again, those of you who are familiar with the 17T recognize that this is very different than the way this originally came. Originally, there's a couple of kind of oval shaped openings here. So what I did was I tried to put the biggest drawers I could fit in there. They weren't very big, but I felt like they were a lot more accessible than the little oval openings. So there's new drawers. Obviously the door, that's new as well. The sink is a stainless steel sink with a new faucet. But let's take a look at the drawers real quick. So they're the same kind of construction, the birch plywood with the maple edge banding on them. They're big enough. They're not huge, but they're certainly better than what was here before. There's two of them, so it's pretty easy for me to have one and for the wife to have one. And then this bottom spot, obviously the toilet's in the way, so it's kind of hard to have a drawer there. So what I did is I just made like a flip open lid so that you could access that storage area under there. We're not exactly sure what we're going to put in there, probably paper goods or things like that that are out of the way that we don't need to get very often. The other thing we changed in here is my wife created a new cover for the wiring. And this is Velcro. You can see it in the mirror there. It's Velcro all the way back, but it just matches everything else. She made new curtains for the walls. And those are all mounted in the original mounting locations. So that worked out pretty well. And then I put a pop-up power station in the vanity. So it's got USB, it's got a 110 outlet here, it has another one here, and then another one back here. So with the HiLo, the air conditioner power is actually stored here, and you have to plug it in once the top of the camper is up. And that outlet actually lives down here in its original design. That's pretty impossible to see, but it lives under this little cabinet. So the thinking is that we'll be able to plug it in back here for a little bit easier access in the future. So another big addition in here was that. So I put a skylight in. I'm pretty tall, so it was hard for me to stand up in here. And when I went through this project, I was very concerned that maybe there would be either metal structure up there or wiring or something. But as it turned out, I got quite lucky. There was nothing there, so I was able to cut the ceiling out just the right place. So now I can stand completely up in the shower, which is pretty awesome. I'm excited about that. I think that's it in the bathroom. So we'll move out this way a little bit. So this is another pretty neat feature of HiLo's. They've got this kind of storage cabinet here that originally is kind of intended as a wardrobe. So this is a new countertop, and I'll show you why I had to do that here in just a minute. But what I also did while I was at it is I thought it might be nice to have some additional countertop for, you know, prepping vegetables or something like that. So this actually pulls out to about right there. So that gives some additional space for like a cutting board or something like that. And then it has a nice secure latch on it so it won't slide out during transit. But again, for those of you who are familiar with this model, you'll know that this originally is just a single door with a, you know, cavernous opening that had a hanging, kind of a hanging rod on the top of it so you could hang clothing. So I really wanted to take advantage of that space and put some drawers in there and try to use them for wardrobe drawers. So again, I built two massive drawers, you know, one for me and one for my wife. And when I measured them, they were about the size of a kind of a medium-sized suitcase on the inside. So we feel like that'll do a nice job to store our clothing. And there's the bottom one. And that should be, again, much easier to access compared to the just the big open door that was there before. As we move this way a little bit, you can see that this is a bit unusual. So what happened here is this wall was right here before. And the challenge with that is we wanted to set the inside of this up so that we could both sleep from front to back rather than side to side. So when this is put down, it's actually a king-size bed, but we wanted to be able to get out at the foot of the bed, which is down in this area here, you know, if we needed to get up in the middle of the night without having to crawl all over each other. So what I did, because I'm pretty tall, that was not long enough for me. So I just moved this about 4 inches, and we made an extra cushion here to fill the gap so that when the dinette's down, it's not a problem. And then this cushion here to fill the gap on the bottom. And so when it's in its sleeping configuration, it's long enough to where I can stretch completely out and be comfortable. So another thing that we did as we kind of moved towards the dinette, you can see obviously it has a new countertop. This is the original dinette table, but I added some thickness to the side of it. It used to be similar to that in thickness, which is okay, but I thought it looked a little nicer being thicker, so I extended the side of it so that when I put the edging on the side, it just looks a little more substantial. The other change is we put on the kind of modern RV folding leg, and the reason we did that was if you put pressure here with the single pole design that was there before, you would get a lot of flex, and I just was not a fan of that, so I took the time to replace that out. We did something similar in our prior camper by putting those legs on there, and we had really good luck with them, so that's what we did there. And then as we move kind of around towards the back, nothing's really different back here. This is kind of the original configuration, but obviously you can see that we have new coverings on the cushions. These are not the original color. The original color was green and very dated looking. So those are all recovered. You can see the blinds all the way around. And this is something else we kind of decided to do. So when this originally came out, the doors were basically cabinet color, if you will. So they were kind of wood grained. And this was kind of wall color. So they would, I felt like they were just squares that kind of stuck out in the middle of the room and didn't really look that integrated. But now we painted that kind of all the same color, so it looks more like a cabinet rather than just a couple of doors sticking out in the middle of nowhere. Over on the lounge side, this is This is still the original foam. All the cushions is the original foam. It's just been recovered except for these two down here, which are new. But yeah, that's the original lounge. And in this area, under the dinette, is a pretty common place for storage. But the way that you typically access that is by, removing the cushions and lifting up that panel. But that was another opportunity to put a drawer in. So I put the biggest drawer that I could possibly fit. And I think we're going to be able to put, bedclothes or whatever in there. And it'll be very easy to access rather than having to lift up this panel. And then I did something similar on this side. On this side, what it had was just a door to kind of an open area. And behind this, under the lounge, is a lot of plumbing and wiring and pumps and hot water heater and all kinds of things. But there was enough room to where I could actually fit a drawer in there. It's not the biggest drawer, but in a small camper, you certainly want to take advantage of all the space that you can. So we have a nice drawer there. And then on the other side of that, because that doesn't go all the way to the end, on the other side of it, outside of the camper, there is an external access panel that's kind of designed for storage. And it had the similar problem where you would open that access door and you would just see, your plumbing and wiring and everything. And if you wanted to store something in there, it'd feel like it would bounce around and maybe tear something up. So I built an aluminum box that now meets with that outside storage panel, so that when we want to store things, it won't bounce around and tear things up. Let's see, what did we change here? A couple small changes here. I added this is a Bluetooth thermometer, and that is pretty neat. So you can see the temperature of the camper just on your phone if you need to, which is pretty awesome. And then over here, again, similar pattern. We had, I'm trying to remember, I think it was just some doors that would kind of open up to a big kind of open space. Well, this drawer, as I mentioned, this is the only original drawer in the camper. I put a new front and obviously new hardware, but that's the original drawer. And this one, I did my best to make it a kind of a slide out little pantry. It's not huge, but it's way easier to get in there and get your stuff compared to the door and just the cavernous opening in there. And then below it, there's another smaller drawer. And that drawer, the reason it doesn't go all the way back is because we have the wheel well right behind it. And what's interesting about that little guy is you can store 8 canned good items in there, and they'd fit in there just fine, which I was kind of pleased with that. So it's very functional. Let's see, the refrigerator is the original refrigerator. We just painted the insert that was wood grained. Obviously this is a new top. This one is the original top, and I believe I put the Formica right on top of the original surface. These corners, because of the radius, was pretty exciting to try to get those things to wrap around there. I had to use a bit of heat and everything to get them to go, but I finally got it on there. But unfortunately, since I didn't want to pull the refrigerator, I could not get this out to go work on it in the workshop. I had to do it here in the camper and do all my trimming with my router in the camper, and it made quite a mess. But anyway, it turned out pretty good. It was worth it. I think this is actually a new countertop, because I wanted more of a radius edge on it than what was available with the other one. Let's see, I think that is all of the excitement in here. Again, this is a 2004 17T. For those of you who are not familiar with HiLos, this entire top half of the camper, you can see the split in the wall. The top half will go completely down very quickly and easily with a hydraulic lift. And it actually is about as tall as an SUV when it's down, so it tows pretty awesome. Oh, this is, I guess, something worth commenting on. So we have a low profile air conditioner ordered. It is not here. It's been ordered since November, and with everything going on, it's just going to take a while to get here. So I had to put a temporary kind of block off plate there just to keep the rain out for when we go camping. In the bunk area up here, we did replace the mattress, and my wife sewed new coverings over the padded areas above the door and again above the bunk. But yeah, I think that's it for in here. It's been quite a long journey, but very happy with the way it turned out. Hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks.